Today I'm talking to Morgane Merien, an entomologist at the Auckland University in New Zealand, a science communicator at Canterbury Museum, and presenter of Bug Hunter on TV New Zealand. Hi, Miss Merien. Happy National Insect Appreciation Day.
Hello. Thank you.
Hello. Insects are at the heart of every food web. They are food for other creatures. They pollinate the large majority of plant species. They will keep the soil healthy, recycle nutrients, and control pests. How did you fall in love with studying insects?
That's a very good question. I fell in love with insects. I think I've always loved nature, including all types of different animals. I've been very lucky to live in some quite amazing wild places, including New Zealand here now, but I was originally born in New Caledonia, which is a small island in the Pacific. And I did a course when I was at university that was all about insects, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I love insects because they do so many amazing things, like you mentioned. They look weird and crazy and wonderful. They can be lots of different colors and lots of different sizes. So I think that attracted me to them a lot.
That's really cool. What is your favorite insect?
That's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? I love all insects, but my favorites are stick insects. The big insects, they can be really big, they can be very small. They tend to look like sticks, like wood, and they kind of walk like this. There's also a different type of stick insect called the leaf insects, and those look like leaves. So those are my favorite because I study their camouflage. And I think it's quite amazing to be able to hide from predators by using this method of just hiding in plain sight by looking like something else.
Yeah. The one thing I hate about insects is I am terrified of insects.
What about them terrifies you?
Just everything.
Everything? I've heard from a few people that what terrifies them a lot is that they can move quite quickly.
Yeah.
Which I understand. They can absolutely move quickly. But I think that the more you learn about insects and the more you understand why they do the things they do, why they look the way they do, it can kind of help you overcome this fear.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why they have so many legs, is because they need to be able to move quickly over terrain, over rocks, and be able to climb up things to go and catch their food. So there's always a reason as to why they look and do certain things.
Yeah. 80% of insects have disappeared in only 30 years, threatening a catastrophic collapse of nature's ecosystem. Why have they all gone?
That is a good question. Why have they all gone? Well, it's actually due to kind of a combination of different reasons. A lot of it has to do with habitat loss and degradation. As humans are kind of moving into their environments and we're kind of taking it over and changing it for our own use, we're kind of modifying their environments. They just don't really have the place to live anymore. The use of pesticides and insecticides, climate change as well. We're kind of modifying how their environment behaves and is. And also invasive species, we're kind of moving organisms around, taking them out of their natural food web and habitat and just plopping them in other places, and they just are out of place, and it just causes a lot of problems. So all of these factors just are kind of, they're being hit on all sides.
Yeah. Why are insecticides called neonicotinoids and fipronil so bad, and why are they still not banned?
Why are they so bad? They're really bad because they are super toxic. They're a lot more effective than previous insecticides that we've used in the past. And they are quite bad because they can actually remain in the system of a lot of different organisms and build up over time. Why are they still used? Well, because they're actually really effective and they became really popular in the 90s and early 2000s. They can be used on a lot of different crops. So for agriculture, it's quite an effective and cost efficient insecticide. They're also kind of still in use because back when they became really popular, 90s and 2000s, there wasn't that much research on them. And it's only as a lot of insects, including honeybees, started dying, like dying in mass, huge amounts of them dying. And we kind of, did a bit more research in that it kind of started ringing alarm bells. And now we're kind of getting to the point where we are putting a lot more research into it, trying to understand their effects, and especially their effects on non-target insects. So insects that are not the ones meant to be killed. But we also are, there's a lot of changes that are coming, and there's a lot of other methods that could be used to control pest insects, including IPM, which is integrated pest management systems, which uses different methods and doesn't rely on chemicals, especially super toxic chemicals. So it is changing, and hopefully with more research and more people knowing about it, we might see some change in the future.
Yeah. The rate of extinction is 8 times faster than that of mammals, birds, and reptiles, falling by 2.5% a year, suggesting they could vanish within a century. What could kids do to help?
Well, protect and help their habitat. So, if they don't have a place to live, that's not good for the insects. So in general, if we protect the habitat, then we give a home to a whole range of insects, not just one specifically. So it's a more holistic way to care about insects. It's much more overall. Help put a stop to climate change is kind of the big one, because as our Earth warms and changes are occurring all over our planet, it creates disturbances and it helps spread pest species everywhere. Promote the use of sustainable and organic products. And then lastly, just learn more about our insects. We only know about a fraction of them. There's so many that we have no idea that they even exist. And if we have no knowledge of them, then we don't know about what services, what jobs they might do. And so they might disappear before we even get a chance to know them. So the more we learn about something, the more we care about it. So learn about the insects in your backyard.
Yeah, I might have found a fossil of a insect that we haven't discovered yet, because it
Ooh,
was kind of like the fossil was perfectly round.
that's
So
amazing. You should take it to your local museum and see what the natural history people there say. You might have found a new one. That would have been awesome.
do you have any funny stories about studying insects?
Insects always have a way of escaping somehow. So, we keep them in these massive mesh cages. And I remember one year when I had just started working on insects, I went to a different part of the country for a big conference. And halfway through the conference, I got a call from one of my lab mates being like, Morgane, there's a stick insect on the, is that yours? I was like, oh no, did I leave the cage like open as I left it? So she sent me a photo, and yeah, one of my stick insects had escaped. The cage was open. I don't know if it was me or if it was somebody else that had come in to take a look. But yeah, I remember one time I was hiking through the forest, and I looked over on my shoulder, and right there was a big spider that had been on my shoulder for I don't know how long, but it's like, oh, hello. I think she just needed a ride, really.
What do you wish more people knew about insects?
I wish more people knew how cool they were, and that even though they might look a bit weird and scary, the more you learn about them, they're actually so cool. Some of them can change colors, some of them can spray acid at their enemies, some of them there's just so many wonderful things. that they do, and I think they're just the coolest. Just so much better than the big mammals. You
Yeah,
know, have you heard about the giraffe weevil that has a nose that's super long, and they use that nose to fight each other?
I'd like to donate to an insect charity as a thank you for speaking with me today. Is there one that you'd like to choose?
There's no specific insect charity in New Zealand, which is a little bit sad. But there's one that kind of helps promote nature and the care and protection of nature overall, and that includes insects. It's called Forest and Bird, and they're quite good.
That's great. What do they do?
They just help promote nature online, and they provide money for projects that help restore um, places around our country, including forests, including wetlands. They help lobby the government to go and get more money and to help change the laws to help protect more of our nature. So they just kind of help on all levels.
Nice. Thanks so much for joining me today, Miss Merien. Please click the link below to donate to Forest and Bird. And remember, together kids can save the world. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.